Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Hey, Faith Positive Nation, Dr. Joey Fawcett here with you again today. Man, it's a great day, isn't it? It is an amazing day. Yes, do not let the broken world tell you any differently. Today is an amazing day. Why? Because you and I are talking, and I can talk and you can listen. And feel free to talk back to this podcast. We are dialogical, but if I don't respond immediately, just know that there's so many voices. Okay. All right. But the most important one's Mom. So Mom, thanks for listening again today. There is a certain lack of certainty that's going around right now. I don't know that we ever really had a whole lot of certainty, but we were pre-pandemic able to delude ourselves into believing that there was a great deal of certainty. So, one of my favorite books that I've read recently in the last couple of years is by Bob Johansen called The New Leadership Literacies. And in that book, Johansen talks about this VUCA world, right? The volatility, and you should read the book and find out what VUCA stands for. But anyway, there's so much volatility. So what we've discovered is that at the intersection of faith and work, there's an amazing opportunity to trust God in new and exciting ways, because there's an opportunity to gain clarity instead of certainty. And that is to really focus intentionally on the one who's bringing you your life and your work, and to be able to follow, to step up into that relationship even more and trust the Father, so that you as a Jesus follower are moving daily through sometimes what's a valley, right? And other times getting a glimpse from a foggy mountain. Today's guest is an expert at helping people do that. In fact, he helps people do that all over the world. What is that? It's unlocking the potential that lies within each of us. That potential being the image and likeness of God himself, which is stamped indelibly on our spirits, right? And is just as much part of who you are as the color of your eyes, the color of your hair, or your lack of hair. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you understand the significance of that for me and my guest today, Jeremie Kubicek. Jeremie's website is giantcoach.com. And so if you want to flip over there, if you're not walking the dog or something, giantcoach.com/faith positive. You can go there and find some incredible resources for yourself, and you can be looking through those as we chat today. But for right now, help me welcome my new best friend, my brother from another mother, Jeremie Kubicek. Jeremie, welcome to Faith Positive Radio, buddy. I'm excited to have you here.
So good to be with you. Do I call you Dr. Joey, or just Joey, or, JF? What do I call you?
Well, my wife calls me honey, so that's what I really like to hear.
All right.
But I've got some new clients. Probably not so much you calling me that, but I've got a new client, and it's three guys who make up their leadership team, and they like calling me Dr. J, and I'm like, dude, I can't jump, I can't shoot. And so
Dr. J, that's so good. Absolutely.
They're stuck on Dr. J. So I'll tell you what, I'll call you Jeremie, and you can call me Joey. How about that? Does that work for you? Yeah.
For today.
Now it sounds like a country music song. You can call me.
Just don't call me Sue.
All right. Now there's Johnny Cash. I was thinking of David Allen Coe. Jeremie Kubicek lives in Oklahoma City. So, I mean, you really should be quoting some Merle Haggard songs, right? Because you're an Okie
absolutely.
from Muskogee.
Absolutely.
As you can tell, Jerry is a whole lot of fun. So, man, you've worked in some really amazing places with some amazing people. I mean, like, can we just drop the name John Maxwell in here? Remember the name Jeremie Kubicek today, but right, you worked with John Maxwell for a while, right?
Yeah, but we bought his companies in 2007, and so I managed all of that world, and then we had a lot of fun. We got to do a lot of things for a good season, and then we kind of just figured out, how do you really unlock people? And that's what I've been working on since. So,
man, that's beautiful. And as I said in the introduction, I think we all are longing for this unlocking of potential. So let's talk about what that means to unlock. First of all, maybe we can talk about what's keeping us locked, right? Keeping all this potential locked up.
Yeah. So if you think about what Jesus' work was, I always say, what did it mean when Jesus said, "Follow me"? And follow me, people were like, well, go where he goes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's true. But really it means imitate me, mimic me, do what I do. Yeah, go where I go, but do what I do. So what did he do? And so I had a mentor for years in Washington, D.C., who really helped me. And I went through Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I'd put an H next to healing, C next to casting out,
right?
M next to a miracle, R next to raising the dead, T versus teaching. And you find out very quickly, what did Jesus do? He taught people about the kingdom. He healed people, and he cast out. So if you take them figuratively and literally, you can go both. You go healing, casting out, and raising up. So what I've done is I've just taken that to go, every single person on the planet has some form of healing that they have to, some rehab that has to happen. Some have to have some things taken out of them, and they know it's in there, but they don't know how to get it out. And then there's some things that need to be called up inside of them, but they don't have that figured out either. And so there's this great longing to be rehabbed, to have things taken out of their life, and to have things called up inside them. And it's there. You've got the opportunity to do it. And that's what Jesus did, in my opinion. Imitating Jesus means rehabbing and taking out and calling up.
Wow. I love that word, rehabbing. Well, Chip and Joanna Gaines, right? But rehabbing, man, that's such a good word. It takes a lot of work to do that. And in my limited experience, and I'm speaking literally and figuratively here, demoing is the hard part of rehab. So, I mean, it's kind of like I've got to give up some of this to the Father and have it taken out. I mean, there's some walls that have got to be broken down. What are some of the common walls that you see, Jeremie, in terms of people really needing to take those down? And some of them may be load-bearing walls too.
Some of them, yeah, absolutely. And they're so integrated around insecurity at the core because they're really walls of self-preservation, which are, there's three questions that I like to use to help people unlock. Number one is, what are you trying to prove? And to whom? And man, it opens up opportunities for, okay. What am I afraid of losing?
Especially for us guys, man. It seems like of course, John Eldredge has made this so popular, right? Yeah. We just don't want to be discovered as a poser. So we're like 24/7, or at least waking hours, trying to prove something to everybody, right?
So proving, what am I afraid of losing? What am I trying to hide? And what it is, it's basically showing as if we are, weak, or we're not all those things you said. Yeah. So part of the process that what I do, what I've created, our content and what we certify people in, is helping train people to deal with their own self-preservation almost by looking at it in a mirror. Because I can't tell you, Joey, you need to stop proving. You need to stop ... You're like, oh yeah, well, I bet you have something to.
Well, you can try that if you want to, but it's like my prefrontal cortex then goes Kevlar, right? I mean, everything you're saying is bouncing off, and I'm pointing at you saying, well, yeah, Jeremie, you got to do some of that too, or something, you know what I'm saying?
So part of the secret is simply to look in a mirror with people. And we created visual tools with common language. And the tools are almost like there's images that you can quickly grasp and go, oh my goodness, yeah, I am trying to prove myself. But I usually start. So if I was working with you, I go, all right, Joey, what are you trying to, there's going to be some tough questions here. What are you trying to prove? What are you afraid of losing? What are you trying to hide? Let me go first. Let me just tell you right now, I'm trying to prove that I still ... or I'm afraid of losing this or that. And then I'll share in authenticity. Now I go, how about you? Where do you think you are right now?
Oh, so you go first.
I go first.
Man,
I try to drop the walls a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
but what I do is I look at the mirror with them.
That law of reciprocity kicks in right there, Jeremy, because if you're dropping your walls, right, and some of those are load-bearing walls, those 3 big questions, right? So if you're dropping your walls, then that sets the pace for me, models for me, lets me know this is a safe space for me to talk about some stuff I'm protecting and need to lose and hiding behind. Sweet. So that's, can we think of that as step 1 in unlocking my potential?
It's absolutely. Okay. It's actually having to deal with the fact of like, how much is over me? How much pressure am I feeling? How much self-preservation? Because the idea is the more you try to protect what you're afraid of losing, the faster you'll actually lose it. It's a paradox.
Oh, dude, say that again, because that's gold right there. Everybody lean in here.
So the more you try to prove what you're afraid of losing, protect what you're afraid of losing, the faster you'll lose it.
Wow. So
it's just the law of really of self-preservation and ramifications of overprotecting. So when you overprotect what you're afraid of losing, you'll lose it sooner. So overprotection. So what happens then is you get to the point of like going, what would it look like when you have nothing to prove? What would life look like if you had nothing to lose, you had nothing to hide? Well, that's a massive part of your emotional filter system. And, so
junk
in your junk, right?
That's my junk right there, man. Because if I'm shedding that, I feel lighter just hearing you describe it, Jeremy. Right? I feel like, man, stand up a little bit straighter, right? Yeah. Just from thinking about that. But that's a pretty tall mountain to climb.
So immediately I try to set processes in place with people so that they can actually, because it's not a one-time thing. It's not really
it's daily.
Go to the mountain. And so there's 2 tools that we use. One of them is called Know Yourself, Lead Yourself. And we basically took Romans 12:2, don't be conformed to the patterns of the world, and we put it into a visual tool. And the visual tool is basically a infinity loop. And the idea is that you never graduate from the school of self-awareness. Like you'll always have this opportunity. So what you're doing though is you're starting to recognize tendencies that you have and patterns that you have. So tendencies and patterns lead to actions which have consequences which shape reality. So what you're doing is you're basically first going, okay, what are my tendencies? All of us have tendencies that we will never, ever, ever lose. Sure. That's the bad news. The bad news. So an example, some of you listening, you have a tendency to fly off the handle, to get hot-headed really fast. Ooh. Some of you have a tendency to be defensive. Right?
What? Are you talking about me?
I'm not defensive. You're defensive.
You're defensive. What's your problem?
Some of us have a tendency. Here's mine. I'll give you one of them. I'll walk you through one. Okay. I have a tendency to exaggerate.
What?
So an exaggeration.
I don't know. But I think that's just hyperbole on your part, Jeremy. You don't really exaggerate, do you?
So when I have it, if my tendency is, well, what's my pattern? When do I do it and why do I do it? And I'm like, okay, I do it to try to prove myself. I do it to win. So what do I normally do? What's my normal action? I add 3 or more to whatever. So gotcha. I'll give you an example.
Or you take 3 away if we're talking about your golf handicap, right? So
that's it.
You really aren't a scratch golfer, is that right?
That's right.
Man, so I might play with you.
So a tendency. So my wife and I built a neighborhood. So my wife is a developer. We built a neighborhood called the Prairie at Post. It's 50 acres, 20 houses, modern farmhouse development.
Oh, wow.
And it's one of the projects we did when we moved back from London and to Oklahoma City. And so I had a builder. I was on I was the building committee basically. And this one builder was really frustrating me.
Hang on, man. Everybody that's ever served on the building committee for a church just shuddered, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I was overseeing the architectural, requirements and all that. So anyway, we had one builder who wasn't cooperating.
Just one?
Now, just one at this point. And so I come to him and I go, hey, Larry, look, man, 8 of the builders have all said yes to this. Can you just comply with everybody else? And he stops there and he goes, okay, hang on. I know about Doug. There's Mike.
Oh, dude, he called your hand. He called your hand.
There's me.
Yeah.
And there's Tom. Let's see, there's 5. Who are these who else? And all of a sudden, my exaggeration caused a derail. The consequence was it got us off topic. And that guy was smart. He worked around the building committee that day.
This was not his first rodeo, was it?
No. And so what happened was like, Jeremie, so when it happens, I know it now. I know when it happens. I know why it happens. When it's about to happen, I know myself to lead myself. Don't add 3, don't add 3, don't add 3, don't add 3, don't exaggerate. Yeah. And now all of a sudden, so what's really cool about this, Joey, is I've got 29 tendencies that I've logged and basically have found and done this with all of them. And most of them are negative. Some of them are positive.
Yeah.
But I treat it as if I'm liberating myself, not dominating myself. I'm not looking for faults as if I'm accusing or judging myself. I'm calling myself up to go, oh, these are opportunities for growth. Oh, cool. I found another one. Huh. I go to my wife.
It's an opportunity.
I go to my wife, Kelly, and I say, hey, do you know I did this? And she's like, well, yeah.
Like, we've been married for how long? You think I didn't pay attention?
You've been doing this for 25 years. So,
yeah, really.
Anyway,
yeah. And
so that's
one of the
figuring
tools. Out that this is what you do. Oh man. So I love what you were talking about, the school of self-awareness. I mean, we're always just going to the next level. So all these tendencies are really opportunities to A, trust God more, right? And B, unlock some potential of authenticity. And I'm really loving that, because when you're talking about those consequences of the actions, some of those are intended and some are unintended. Like I'm thinking with your conversation with your builder there, he nailed you, and you never did get in that conversation. I suspect you never did get him to be where you wanted him to be because you got in the way. So that was an unintended consequence because you went in, and it's those unintended consequences that really, as we like to say in sales, rear up and bite you on the hindquarters, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So how do we go before God, this holy, righteous God, right? And get real? Because I think that's the first place we go to unlock that potential, right? To go to this rehabbing God and just let him have his way with us. What are some, if you want to call them spiritual disciplines or some tactics, things like that we can get real with God around?
Yeah. So it's an exercise that I do every day, and it starts with my afternoon. I figured out that my morning quiet time, if you will, starts at 5:30 the previous day. And I figured out a process that helps it really, really thrive and answers your question at the same time. And I've stole this from the Jesuits. Can I say that? I stole it.
Don't say you stole. No Jesuits were hurt in the recording of this podcast. Okay, I'm just saying. The Jesuits were the educational branch of the Catholic Church. So
and
they
the
taught
entrepreneurial
you this,
branch,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the No, Loyola had a process called the examine. And so some of you know what this is, but I do it every day at 5:30. I kind of altered it a little bit, and it's really simple. It takes me about 7 to 12 minutes a day.
Okay.
On my phone, I schedule it every day at 5:30, and I hit probably 70% of it during the week. And it goes like this.
Is it really 67% and you just added 3? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah.
So you said a notification.
That's the danger. Everyone's gonna think I'm exaggerating.
But no, you messed it up, so you're not really, but it was funny. You got to admit that. So
well, Joey, I've got one for you.
Okay.
You may not know this, but 86% of all statistics are made up on the spot.
Are made up on the spot. Right. I've used that one.
You've used that one.
Yeah. So if I think it
You're
was,
a pastor.
I think it was 90%, right? Instead of 87. Sorry.
So,
all right, so every day.
So the examine process,
right?
It goes like this.
Okay.
It starts with, what am I grateful for? What was a high five today? What am I really thankful for today? God, thank you for that meeting with so-and-so. Thank you for provision here. Thank you for whatever. Not everything. I don't really usually say thank you for the postman who delivered my mail. I want it to be like,
or for
legitimate.
The guy that picked the coffee beans for the coffee I drank today. That would be mine.
High five, true high fives.
Yeah, like a personal experience, right?
Yeah. And there might be 2, 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there. Then I go back to my day and I look at my calendar and I go back and I go, all right, search me, oh God, know my heart. Try me and know my anxious thought. See if there's anything in me, any hurtful way in me. Lead me in. It's basically David. So Psalms 139. I pray that and I look over my calendar and I go, was there any attitude here that I've had? It's like this morning already, I had the weirdest dreams. Just make you think for a long period of time during
this is a G-rated podcast. Let's keep it above.
So I had to go, all right, God, help me get rid of that dream. It was kind of sad and not, I'm like, where did it come from? But my point is that I'm basically looking back through my entire day to see, is there anything in me that needs to get worked on? And then what I do is I look for any tendencies, like I mentioned. Any tendencies, any patterns, because what we know is the Holy Spirit is in us and is basically building us and unlocking us and healing us. And we get the free Holy Spirit. He's free.
Yep.
And so, and that his job is to steer us north, is to move us and really draw us closer to the Lord. So I'm participating with the Holy Spirit while I'm doing it. And then the last thing I do is I look at tomorrow, and so I get right on anything I need to get right on. Sometimes I send a text or whatever. Then I look at tomorrow's calendar.
Okay, so you're kind of like you're making amends there if you found some tendencies that you acted on. Okay, that's sweet. And then you do that at the end of the day, so it's it's hot
every day
now.
At 5:30.
Okay.
And then I look at tomorrow and pray for tomorrow and get my mind ready for tomorrow. Is there anything I need to prepare for? Brilliant, because here's what was happening before. A lot of times it would carry over until my next morning.
Garbage and it would build up any better, does it?
And it would build up in 3, 4, or 5 days, and I'd be angry or frustrated at something, and then have to go back and now I'm having the best nights because I've already dealt with it. I'm having less of them because I'm doing it every day, and then in the morning I do a little liberation session. In a liberation session in my quiet time, I'll read kind of a Bible reading and do that. And then I'll remind myself, I'll remind God, I'll tell God who he is to me that day. And it's different every day. And then I'll remind myself who I am. So this morning, no lie, I was basically in the shower going, Jeremie, you're a freedom fighter. You're a liberator. You're an encourager. You were made to encourage people. Today, you're going to be on a podcast and I pray over certain things or remind me and call myself up. And then I pray for people of peace. Lord, show me the people you want me to serve today. Because I'm allowing the process of self-awareness to be in the hands of the Holy Spirit. And I'm positioning myself to go every single day. I'm getting right with myself and just seeing if there's anything in me. So then it's easier to engage in the morning. It's easier to come out of the gates on fire because I've already dealt with certain things.
And
that's a process.
Oh, it's got to be. And I'm thinking you're a lot more fun as a husband and a daddy when you do that at the end of the day, and then you show up with your family because you can be fully present with them.
Yeah, and free.
Yeah,
and
you're not
freedom
delivering
is
the
fun.
mail. Oh, it's so much fun, and you're not what I call delivering the mail to the wrong address, because you may have some junk left over in the trunk from a client or somebody that pushed a button of tendency that day. Who gets that garbage, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it's people that, as Robert Frost said, have to take you in, right? People at home. Dude, that's an awesome process. I do part of that. I do a gratitude diary every evening, but I'm thinking the beauty of what you just described. By the way, the acronym is GETT, GET. And in the South, we would say get, right? But that gratitude, right? At first, gratitude, examine. What was the first T? Tendencies, right? And then tomorrow, right? So I have to remember things, so there's my acronym. But I'm thinking that I do it. Well, actually I do my gratitude diary at bedtime, right before I go to bed. Keep it by my nightstand. But I'm thinking if I do it before I check out of the office, it's home. So, I've got like a 21-step commute. So if I did that before I left, that would put me in a better place to be with my wife for the evening. I really like that a lot. But we go back to your key earlier, and that is I got to identify those tendencies. So if I go to Giant, just like it sounds like Goliath, okay, giantcoach.com/faith positive. Am I going to find some help there around this self-awareness?
There is you'll find basically in a free assessment called the 5 Voices. A lot of people know the 5 Voices, and what that does is that helps you understand your tendencies based on your wiring. Really, really fascinating. And then it will lead you. And if you wanted to go into deeper resources, it goes to giant.tv, and giant.tv is the main site. And then you can see a lot of these tools, and they're free. You have to sign up, but you're not going to get sold. It's just resources. And so that's it. And so the last thing I'd say to this whole process was a thing that my mentor a few years ago taught me. So Jeremy, you have to evangelize yourself every day. Don't evangelize others, evangelize yourself. He said this. He said, do fountains move? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, do fountains move?
Is this like a trick question or something?
Right? I'm like, no, he said, people come to fountains. Fountains don't go to people. And so if you are healthy and if you're alive, if you have the living water coming out of you,
people
then
are attracted.
Thirsty people will come. When you're not healthy and you're coming to them with polluted water, they're gonna run. So he said the secret is evangelizing yourself every day, reminding yourself who you are, living it. If you live it, people will come to you. You don't have to work as hard.
Wow. So that's the attraction factor at its very finest, right? I'm loving that. Jeremie Kubicek is my guest today on Faith Positive Radio, giantcoach.com/faith positive. And that'll take you to giant.tv.
.tv, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of cool stuff there that we can take advantage of also. I'm going to, just as soon as we quit recording, I'm going to go there, right? Because there's so much amazing content. And man, I've learned a lot right here already. And my mind's just playing. I'm like a pinball machine right now. Did you say 5 voices? Because I think they're more than that in my head. But anyway, so and if you're on our website at getpositive.today, just search for Jeremie. That's Jeremie. And you'll find there a link to his book, The 100X Leader. and it takes you right over to Amazon, so you can check that out also. Particularly, you'll be interested in that if you're a Jesus follower who's in leadership. So Jeremie Kubicek, man, what an outstanding conversation. I think we need to go for another 30 minutes. But anyway, no, don't turn the podcast off. Just stay with me. I'm going to ask him his favorite Bible verse now. So our guests always want to know, our listeners always want to know from our guest, Jeremie, about a favorite Bible verse or Bible passage. You tossed out Romans 12:2 there a few moments ago. Could be one, or there may be another one.
You ready? It's a different one.
Cool.
It's Acts 8:4. So my favorite is basically when Philip, when he was, when the disciples were scattered, Philip went into a town in Samaria to proclaim the Jesus there. Right. And with shouts of joy, the lepers were healed. And with shrieks, the demons came out of many, and there was great joy in the city that day. That's my favorite Bible.
Why is that
verse.
your favorite, Jeremie?
Acts 8:3. It's the fulfillment of discipleship. If you followed Jesus, you became like Philip. He was full of the Holy Spirit. Well, when he was full of the Holy Spirit, Jesus was in him. Yep. What did he do? He did what they did the entire time. They healed the sick and cast out demons and taught about the kingdom. And that's what a disciple of Jesus does.
Absolutely. And one of the words that leapt out of the scriptures you were reading it there was joyful. I mean, what was that? Shrieks of gladness. Yeah.
Shouts of joy. And there was great joy in the city that day.
Great joy in the city. Jeremie Kubicek, I don't know about you, but I know a whole lot of people in cities and countrysides who are looking for some joy today. So, man, what a great verse. Thank you so much. Giantcoach.com/faithpositive is the website you want to go to right now. So just tie the dog off or something and go there right now, right? As you're walking your dog. Yeah, I don't talk about walking cats. I do have cats. They're porch cats. They used to be barn cats. But anyway. Jeremie Kubicek, you're amazing, man. I know you know that, but I appreciate your authenticity, your sincerity. You have unlocked all or are unlocking so much potential in yourself, which frees the rest of us to do the same. So thanks for going first and for following the Holy Spirit. We just really appreciate your authenticity and transparency you brought to Faith Positive Radio today. Pray God's blessings on you and your amazing wife and anybody else that bears that Kubicek name.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.